hello, we're back again. Looks like everything is working. And the next speech is by Oksana. Welcome on stage. And I understand you'll be talking about testing payments.
Yes, payments testing.
But that involves money.
Yeah, that's super risky.
Super risky.
I mean, it's risky to do it wrong, so you are supposed to do it right. Otherwise, you lose money.
True story, and I'm so interested because I work in a financial institution myself. So here you go.
Yep, I can.
Yeah, clicker is there.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Oksana Lang, and today I'm going to talk about payments testing to you guys. And what to expect from today is written there on the slide. I'd like to talk about financial industry in general a little bit, about the trends, where we are moving, and then we will cover what payments testing is and how it's being done. About myself, I'm in testing for 15 years now. I started testing in few product companies, and for the last 6 years I work in the project manager side of testing, but still very close to testing. And I work for Testlio. We are a crowdsourcing company, meaning we don't test in-house, but we connect professional freelance testers with very many clients. And in my QA strategist role, one of my responsibilities is leading payments testing business line. And from clients, we have famous names like Apple, Western Union, eToro, PayPal, and very many other payments providers. So I have a broad overview of how the testing is being done. From a personal side, I'm a Ukrainian who lives in Estonia for the last 11 years. I play ukulele in little ensemble. We are middle-aged ladies who just took ukuleles as a hobby, and we perform in different fun parties. I'm studying to become a psychotherapist, and I'm a mother of 2 kids who are a source of personal development on a daily basis for me. So first thing first, let's see which events or which big changes have influenced the payment industry. And the one basic one was the open banking. It allowed for companies to be able to use banking APIs in order to develop their own solutions. So not only banks were able to use money and operate with money, but more companies could have access to these technologies. From open banking, the fintech appeared, and the biggest fintech area is neo-banking. And neo-banking means that the companies who are not banks, they operate as if they're banks. Wise, or formerly TransferWise, maybe someone have worked for Wise from this audience or works for Wise. Anyone? No Wise representatives today. But they are one of the examples and Estonian unicorns for neobanks. The other big thing was the real-time payments, meaning that you didn't need to wait for bank opening hours in order to operate with your funds. Now we can operate with funds 24/7, and the real-time payment technology allowed for that. Another big thing is the cryptocurrencies. It allowed to democratize the financial institutions. Now money can move not only in banks and governments, but it could move in blockchain. And the big influencer in the industry in terms of testing, in terms of how we operate with money, is COVID and lockdowns. Before COVID, there were a lot of businesses who were reluctant to adapt any modern payment instruments, but because we all went home, we started to use more of online payments and different wallets and so on and so forth. So COVID kind of made us a favor of doing a revolution in the payment industry. So the list of these shaping events is the same. And we might expect that the way how payments industry develops in different regions is the same, but actually it's not. I have drawn this beautiful picture myself in Miro, so I hope your eyes don't bleed right now. But you can see here which payment instruments are the most common in different regions, and they're very different. There were similarities are in North America and Europe probably, but the Africa and Asia Pacific is very different. So now I'd like us to go through different regions one by one and see how they are being developed and where we are heading to. Let's look into Europe and North America first, because this is something which we can relate to easier. It's Europe and North America are quite similar. The main thought is that banks are historically the trustworthy institutions for our money. People trust banks, we have bank accounts, and whatever payments technology is being developed, it's being developed on top of banking industry. So what we see is that in terms of trends, the embedded finances is a hot topic. And actually, Kaspar mentioned that he came from Money 2020, and my colleague was there, and she also wrote a blog post in LinkedIn that embedded finances is a big topic. Embedded finances means that the software which is not payment software, it has seamless integration with payments, and you kind of don't even notice that they are behaving as if a little bit of a banks. You can take Bolt application as an example. You have Bolt credit, you can pop it up, you can use the credit to pay for your drives, or if Bolt did something wrong, they would give you a gift as a credit, but you cannot withdraw the fund, so they are not a financial institution. And the other big thing is huge companies like Apple, Amazon, and few more who are taking more and more share of the market. One latest development was by Apple. In the beginning of May, they introduced the deposit account. I guess it hasn't reached Europe yet, but the difference is that their return percent is 4 times better comparing to classical banks. So we can expect this trend to continue. In Latin America, the trust in banks is much lower, and people actually don't have access to banks, and there the cash is a king. And there the digital wallets started to develop really fast during COVID, because there are a lot of people who work in North America, but they need to send money to their families. In Latin America, it's a cultural thing. And because of COVID, they were not traveling that much, so people started to use digital wallets much more, which kind of boomed the market, and more options have appeared. And the latest, the hottest topic is contactless payments, NFC. Now everybody in Latin America want to do it and are excited, and a lot of those digital wallets support the technology. Sub-Saharan Africa, it means Africa without those top countries. There it's similar to Latin America in terms of unbanked population and people not having access to banking system. But the development of payments went through telecoms. Basically, it's very common there. You only have your smartphone and phone number. You have a little kiosk, like here on the picture. You pop up the funds on top of your telecom account, and you manage all of your finances through there. And one thing which Western companies, North America and Europe, trying to enter the market in order to democratize the market more. So there are fintech startups who want to offer loans to population and make sure that people have access to better lives. And the last one is actually the most exciting and the most developed, Asia Pacific. It's the most developed due to a few reasons. One of them being that governments are fast. They enable companies to operate in the financial area quickly. So on one side, the governments enable, and on the other side, the users' behavior, and like they are quite open to try new technologies. And there is one interesting thing which I haven't seen in Europe yet. So there are like shopping malls, and shopping mall would agree for a discount in particular day for a digital wallet. And then the user would have like 10 digital wallets on their phones. They will go to the shop. For example, Nike has a discount with Alipay. They will quickly drop the funds to this wallet, pay using this wallet, and get the custom discount. So it's like behaviorally enables users to be flexible and to quickly change where your money is located, instead of just holding your money in one financial platform. What is payment testing and how it's being done? In a nutshell, payments testing is verifying whether your application is able to accept funds and to distribute funds. And when we're talking about what exactly we are testing, you can see keywords on the slide. We are testing whether the money is correct, whether the currency is correct, where to get the confirmation email. But other than that, it's quite similar to any other software testing. Regarding strategies, how it's being tested on a staging, it's again very similar to industry. And what we see from the biggest players, like established, rich companies who can allow themselves thorough testing, they are using the golden standard of automating on every level: unit, system, integration tests, end-to-end staging automation. And when the testers are testing manually, they have some special tools, like they have dummy cards if you need to test bank cards, or if you integrate in with MasterCard, there is a whole MasterCard development center which has tools to enable testers to test. Production, not everybody is doing it, but this is something which we see like our company is doing quite a lot. And there, if the developers need to do production payments testing, they're building up the custom tools. They call them robots. And the robot allows you to test faster. So for example, if you're integrating with the bank card in a specific country, you have 13 different scenarios. So you want to test whether you can get funds with CVV, without CVV, with capture, without capture, with 3DS and without 3DS. And to test it faster, there are special software which those companies are developing. Production manual testing is often a limited coverage, and it's challenging to automate production end-to-end testing because of two-factor authentication. Most of current payment system they require you to do two-factor authentication, so it's hard to automate. So just don't be like that guy. Just leave it, your users will do it. Few more production end-to-end testing challenges is the location. Reach that, I don't know, PayPal with their office in Germany, they don't have offices throughout the world where they operate. And the other one is the payment methods. Again, any company in Asia, they just cannot have all of those payment methods. But because of competition, because everybody wants to deal with money, it's profitable, it's something reliable. Right now, big companies like PayPal CEO, you can see the quote here, they put a bet on equality. So they understand that the business is hard. Anybody can now develop banking applications or payment applications. So they really put the stakes on the quality. Regarding payments testing and why it's being done, and now I'm going to talk stories from my crowdsourcing testing experience. And the goal why I want to talk about that, maybe you will get some inspiration of what big companies are doing and try to do it in your company as well. The first ask is usually, the most common ask is expanding payment integrations. And on this slide, I have an example from one customer. They are social media application which operates across the globe. And for them, we are doing production end-to-end API payments testing. So what we see is that every week they will ask some new payment methods. I don't know, like 3 new in Indonesia, 4 in Thailand, and all geographies. So we are testing in 70 countries and 240 and more payment methods. And why they are doing API testing with us, it's the cheapest one. You have a link, developer encodes everything, like where the funds should be transferred in an API call. They will give a link to a tester presses on the link, is redirected to their, I don't know, digital wallet application, and they sign in, they try to send those funds, like the API call requests, and we can see whether it works or not. Mostly it will fail for the first several tests, like first 2 to 4 tests will fail, because the documentation by those payment instruments is poor. But once it passes, the developers is happy with the API calls implementation, and then they can go to UI implementation. It's cheaper to test that low level in the very beginning, comparing to when you implement your UI and then you discover that something is not working as expected. The second most common ask is geographical expansions. So we have this, gosh, I forgot the word. Stock market application, how is it called? So they are quite famous in Europe and quite established, and they were going to the United States market, and not to rely on their end users to be testing. They asked us, "Can you guys find us 30 testers who are experienced in purchasing and selling stocks and act as if they are alpha testers?" So we managed to test that, and the interesting issues which were discovered was, like, for example, the user couldn't sign up because their address was too long. And if it would be a real user, they would just switch to another application. One more reason to test for geographical expansion is the regulations. We had another client, actually 2 clients in gambling business, and they were expanding to Asia Pacific region. And we were successfully testing in different geographies, but for Japan we couldn't find testers. We tried to recruit from different sources and still no luck. And one tester, who is a resident tester and quite nice person, they just sent us a message saying, "Do you know that gambling is illegal in my country? If I will test for you guys, I'll get in trouble." So we managed to pick some region-specific insight and forward it to the customer. And there the responsibility on the customer. Do they want to do illegal business in Japan, or do they change their expansion plans? The hardware readiness is also quite a common ask. There is a client who wanted to do NFC in Latin America. And even though the media says, like, Latin America Brazil is ready for NFC, before investing big money into expanding to Brazil, they wanted to make a test. We recruited some testers. Testers were supposed to go to big shopping mall and try to do NFC payment, this contactless payments with our phone, in 24 shops. And we found that half of the shops either, like, they say, no, we will not do it, or they don't even have the terminal supporting the technology. So this real insight from the market, knowledge of whether it's time to expand or it's time to hold a little bit, is something which is very valuable for our customers. And the common issues is that expectations and reality don't really match. So clients are expecting that everything works there and their market is ready, but in fact, it needs more time. For the companies who are providing payments as a service, meaning like PayPal, one of the examples, or MasterCard or Visa, or any other companies whose main business is payments, they are quite often asking for brand guidelines compliance. And here I took a screenshot from MasterCard website. I hope they don't mind. So the test might be that testers should go to 25 cafes and see that this sticker is in exact correct location, exact correct size, it's beautiful, and then the payment provider is happy. Of course, they can rely on those little cafes to do a good job with the stickers, but they don't want to lose their faces. They want to keep the brand beautiful, look beautiful, feel beautiful. Another example was there was online payment provider. They came and asked, can you guys test 14,000 online merchants and see that our button is perfect everywhere? So that's something which they do. It costs a lot, but really they care about their brand face. And as a closing word is a story from me as a payment industry user. As I mentioned already, I studied to become a psychotherapist, and the education is in Denmark. So 4 times per year, I need to fly to Denmark. And usually from Estonia, the most convenient way is through Finnair. So I was, again, looking for flights. I agreed with my friend which flight we will take. I open Finnair app, enter whatever I need to enter, and then I see, they integrated with Swedbank like web payments. And in Estonia, we have such a nice thing as a mobile ID. You only need to know your mobile ID PIN code, and then you can authenticate there quickly, easier, and you don't need to find your card and so on. So I press on this Finnair Swedbank online banking. I am redirected inside of the app to Trustly integration. I enter my whatever I need to enter for Swedbank, and it gives me an error, invalid input. So I couldn't pay with the online banking. Of course, I don't say that Finnair is not doing a good job. I still use Finnair, I will continue using Finnair, but for me as an end user, I couldn't use this payment method. I know that it's probably the Trustly issue, but it can also be a Swedbank issue. I was a nice user and submitted a bug to their platform, but I'm not sure what's happening with that one. So my ask is, if your company is doing anything with money, anything, try to be a responsible adult in the company and see whether this kind of situation appear. Can you use it from the beginning to the end, the full flow? Can you pay with Swedbank online banking? Another ask is, be curious. Again, if your company is doing anything with money, ask from your product managers. Do we collect failed payment transactions? Do we collect data on when the user had to start booking again? What's the reason for the user to start booking the flight again? And to just verify that your company is doing the right thing, making sure that for the end user it's going to be a smooth experience. And the last ask is the challenging your quality definition. So I guess Finnair CI was green, Trustly CI was green, Swedbank CI was green, but I couldn't pay. So what's quality? Here it's again the challenge for you. Maybe quality is not a green CI, but that the user could pay smoothly and without any problems. This is all from me, and I thank you for your attention.
So, since the last example was exactly from the industry where I'm very actively involved in, then I have only one word to say: Swedbank.
I actually suspect Trustly. I think they parsed it wrong. I mean, they asked from me something wrong.
Nope. So yeah, this is a larger topic which is to do with IBAN discrimination as well, which is a thing in fintech world. So banks, especially established banks, don't really like people doing transactions cross-border, and these tend to get stuck, blocked, fraud investigations, whatever. Just it's complicated. It's an industry problem rather than a software problem.
Yeah.
In that sense. So Q&A, quality assurance on the way. So I see a couple of hands here and here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. My first question is, from your perspective in the Europe market, do you see a change in the IPA providers for payments services like Payzen? I know that multiple companies are aggressive at joining this to present the other companies.
I think those market leaders are still leading, but we don't know for how long. Like all those ideal, and in every country you will have a different provider who is the most popular, and probably the market works like this, that if everybody uses it, users are using it, so it's hard to enter the market. So I see that in Europe it's still the same names for now, but we never know. People invent some cool technology, like, I don't know, this one-click payment. Whoever first comes, it's much easier for the user. So you probably don't want to bother with all of this entering information. You just do your Apple Pay integration and it works perfectly. But yeah, let's see where it goes. But it's definitely growing. And thank you for your question.
Hi there. Thanks a lot for your speech. It was very interesting. I have a couple of questions, actually. First of all, it's very interesting, like, how do Tesla work? I mean, you've mentioned that you found testers who had experience in broker, right? In some trading.
Trading was the word which I forgot, yes.
So how do you find them? I mean, how it works in Tesla? And the second one is about, you've mentioned that COVID made big changes. and as I understood, it brought the wallet, the digital wallets in Latin America, right? So do you see some of these trends, for example, with war right now? Or if you do mention some trends to your clients, like for example, like the COVID started, you might be interested in something. I mean, do you do some consultants for your clients as well?
So to answer the first question, we are a crowdsourcing company, meaning that whoever can sign up, then they will go through the verification process. So they are supposed to be testers. And then they can apply for real projects and real payment tasks. So how we recruit them is very different. It's there are some people who full-time freelancers, so they only do this kind of testing. There are a lot of competitors, and they just from their home for 10 years already testing like those crowdsourcing companies. And when we need something super specific, we use LinkedIn advertisements and kind of advertise. It's kind of a real job. And there are people like these trend trading experts. It wasn't for the money which they wanted to do. It was just their interest. They like to trade. They anyway stay full evening in this trading application, selling something and buying something. And for them, it's an opportunity to do the same behaviors and get some money on top of it. So they are more interested in being the first ones to touch those new features. Yeah, so some of them can be just traders. For payment testing specifically, sometimes you don't need to be an expert tester, you just need to know how to use your digital wallet. Yeah, so it's a bit, depending on the client, the requirements are different. But for the specific trading example, we were more interested in the behavioral pattern that people like to trade. And they want to see new technology and they want to touch it the first hand. And regarding consulting the clients, in my experience right now, the clients come with the particular request. For example, they extend to Africa, and then we can already consult that, okay, we know that these are the most used ones. You probably want more coverage in Nigeria because the number of smartphones there is much bigger compared to other countries. So we consult, but it's only when they need it. Usually, honestly, companies don't prioritize this kind of testing. They kind of think that the user will report and will fix the issue, but yeah, it's not very nice for the users.
That's not always the case, actually. The bigger companies who are providing checkout services, which is where this area falls into in the fintech world, checkout service providers very carefully monitor their checkout rates. So if it, in some cases, with cards, for instance, debit cards, the checkout rate is somewhere, let's say, 94%. And if you're coming up with any other payment method, that actually effectively means that it needs to be higher than that. If it's lower, then you have an issue. You lose customers and you lose revenue, or you don't get paid, which is even worse. So they actually monitor very, very carefully. The question is how much of that information gets trickled down to the, let's say, software testing function.
Exactly, yeah.
Because a lot of these issues are usually solved with partners, escalations to other operations channels, and in some cases also the paying banks. So the part of software there is maybe some cases 50%, some cases less. Why payments actually fail?
Yeah, it's very complex chain. It's not, it's not Skype, which you just run closed loop on your laptop, but it's something super complex. Okay.
So,
hey, Oksana, hey.
Last question.
Yeah, cool. Good job, thank you. What kind of tooling do you use for the process automation, like robotics? Do you UiPath or Blue Prism or such?
We don't do automation usually for payment testing.
Okay.
Yeah, we focus on manual. Automation is normally done in-house.
Okay, yeah. Do you know what kind of they are using?
I can check and get back to you.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So if you want to ask more questions, I'm around in red suit. You will notice me. And also if you want to talk about my hobbies, also feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oksana.
Aitäh.